Welcome to the Man Cave Podcast with Dan Casper.
All righty, you ready to do some business of sports brought to you by Security Financial Bank?
Business of sports.
Speaking of, what did I say?
No, I was just saying business was doing it. Right.
I was like, did I mess something
No,
up?
you actually got that one right.
Speaking of the NFL schedule, I think one of these two, I don't know if we'll know it, but this whole will Netflix have the Christmas Day games? Will that be revealed with the schedule announcement too?
I think it will. Well, by most accounts, that's why this got delayed apparently to this week from last week because of the late negotiations on that. And now Amazon has gotten in on this, so it may be a Prime Video thing instead.
It seems like it's between Amazon and Netflix, right?
Yes.
That they're kind of bidding back and forth.
Yes.
So I know this was from a few days ago, but Variety said Netflix is likely to score a pair of Christmas Day games for this year, which I also saw the other day too. Whoever does play those Christmas Day games, because that's a Wednesday, isn't it? Christmas is a Wednesday, yeah.
It is. That's why this whole controversy. Oh, NFL on Wednesday.
So whoever's playing those games would actually be playing the Saturday before too. So that's where there was a report too that was it NBC got a Saturday game.
Correct. On December 21st.
Yep. So those teams who are playing on Wednesday are going to be playing the Saturday before.
With a Peacock game, I think, in there or something like that.
Yep. So there's a trickle-down effect with that, too.
Do you care one way or the other on more Prime Video games versus Netflix games? Because you have both of those, right?
I don't. I've got Prime currently right now, but I don't have it all the time like I do Netflix.
Okay.
So to make things easier, I'd rather have it on Netflix.
Okay.
But
Which is interesting because Netflix doesn't really do live sports. That's why this is... I mean, you'd think at first blush, like, oh, Netflix.
Well, was it a MMA?
They did, but
or UFC or whatever.
But it's not like.
And now they're doing the Tyson and Jake Paul thing.
So they're doing like one-offs.
Yeah,
but they're not like doing.
Well, they're getting in the game now.
A regular league. It's in the game. I wonder if they're going to move more in that direction. But again, they've been a bit more of a holdout versus most of the others have like a regular schedule. I mean, even though. Amazon has, Apple TV has with baseball. We see the NBA thing coming up, all of that. Netflix is held out from that. And that's, I think, just a philosophical thing. And their attitude might be, well, we'll take Christmas Day games, but that doesn't mean we're going to now start bidding for season-long packages with different leagues. But it still would get them attention.
Right.
Get that Christmas gift subscription to the diehard New York Jets fan in your life.
Yeah. That's probably. I think you're on to something there. Nope. I think you're on to something.
Depending on who's playing, of course, the four teams that are going to be playing. But so we'll know if we have to stream something. It's not going to be a CBS game. It's going to be something, and I would say I'm 99% sure, really, that we'll know if it's Netflix or Amazon later today.
Yep.
Is that why this is getting buttoned up to a little bit? That the NFL's like, look, we're still finalizing the negotiations. We're doing the whole dotting the I's, crossing the T's. Don't leak anything. Because if, like, the Jaguars are like, we're going to be on Netflix on Christmas Day, and then, like, it's not finalized. I mean, that sounds a little stupid, but I think there's somewhat of a chance that that's actually what's going on here, that the NFL has done a whole... Do not release anything. We could lose a lot on this.
Yeah. So that's, I guess, one. When I've asked the question, what do you look for when the schedule release out there? That might be another thing too, that not a lot of people have said. But what are your favorite teams? What networks they're on? Because you might have to decide if you got to sign up for something or not.
Yep.
So that's another thing now that we have to factor in when we look at the schedule thing. I always looked at. When you play at Chicago, when Minnesota comes here, how many primetime games, because then I'm going to be crabby in the mornings unless they win. And then the opening of hunting. Now I got to be like, okay, which streaming service are they going to be on? Do I got to sign up or do I get that free trial?
So conceivably, your favorite team, I say that in a general sense, your favorite team could be on CBS, ABC, and NBC, Fox, of course.
We know they're on Peacock to open up.
Peacock, Amazon Prime Video, Netflix. I think that's it for this year. I don't think we're going to get a surprise like Paramount Plus. Oh gosh, if I'm, this is not a knock on Paramount Plus per se, but if they get in on this, like at a certain point, I'm like, nope, come on, stop, just stop.
Yeah.
But like I was saying last week, the NFL versus the NBA, they prefer having most of their games still on free over-the-air broadcasting. They'll do the streaming for the event kind of ones that also aren't super significant, i.e. the Super Bowl, but they'll do that for Black Friday, they'll do that for Christmas Day, they'll do that for a wild card game and maybe a divisional round game, and also Thursday Night Football, considered the redheaded stepchild of NFL scheduling days. But they're not going to do it for Sunday 325. No, that is always going to be on CBS or Fox or whomever ends up in the long term. Because, again, breadth. Getting as many people watching as possible. Because they'll spend money on NFL-related stuff in other ways.
Well, it's funny you say that, too, because I've got a chart here. This is from finance.yahoo.com when they talk about this other bundling package with Netflix and Apple and was it Peacock on there too? It's a monthly growth by streaming platform chart. Peacock. You want to know when their highest growth was?
Was it either December, January, or when the announcement was made? That
it was January. Which, remember, there was a playoff game, right?
Huh. Involving a certain...
almost straight up spike right there. And then, guess what? March went all the way down.
Yep.
Like, it just pummeled after that. Hulu had a huge spike in November. And then it went down. I don't think there's any coincidence with the months, right?
Yeah.
NFL is king.
Well, people want to watch it. Exactly. So, I mean, people will... I don't want to say, all these people have to sign up for Netflix. A lot of people have Netflix. There's probably a good number of people that have canceled it because there are no particular shows they want to watch at any given moment. But they'll come back. I know a thing right now with streaming. This was actually another story from Variety I was reading yesterday or the day before about how the streaming services are starting to resemble TV networks in a traditional sense with regard to programming, because they don't want as much subscriber churn. The whole, let's release 8 episodes in one day, and then you binge it, and then now what? So then people will cancel their subscription until some other show comes around. And, of course, there's so much content anyway, like you get overwhelmed. So now, among other approaches, one is to have, like, shows on a regular schedule. Like TV traditionally has been, to get around subscriber churn so you stick with that platform over and over again. This might be part of that, and I know a Christmas Day game is a standalone for Netflix, but that if you start getting more and more of that, you're more likely to stick with the platform long term.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. I guess I didn't even think about that, too, when that schedule does get released. I'm going to have to start paying attention to what freaking platforms are going to be on now, too.
Like, I'm already, like, remember last week I was saying about, again, talking about the breadth of visibility and how I'll always let my mom know, like, hey, it's on Fox this week, it's on CBS, and she watches it. She has cable, but she doesn't do streaming platforms. Again, she's in her 70s, so she's of the generation is like, what am I doing? I mean, not that no one does that, but that's a little too much. So I'm kind of not looking forward to be like, sorry, Mom, this one's on Peacock.
Yeah.
Like, great.
Yeah.
And it's like a Packers-Vikings game, and she's like, what? I'm like, well, I mean, you can listen on the radio, and she will. She has no problem doing that, but you don't want too much of that if the point is to have as many fans as possible. So, again, I don't think the NFL is going that way. I don't want them to go too far that way. Well, no, I don't care. They shouldn't want to go too far that way. But it's a philosophical difference versus, like, again, the
Well, and it's like we mentioned, too, whoever that new commissioner is going to be might be a new, younger, new age type of thing.
Exactly. It could change over. We don't know. But it's also maybe an organizational difference. NBA wants to be as cutting edge as possible. That's their approach. And maybe both work in different ways. We don't know. But it does make watching NFL games a bit more of a challenge. Where a lot of other sports are that way already, and the NFL's kind of coming around. I mean, hello, baseball. Mm-hmm. Now, you got Roku?
Yeah.
Or you know how to access Roku, I should say.
Yeah.
Marty Green definitely all in. He's been like the evangelist for Roku for like a decade now. But there's so many options for Major League Baseball. There's so many. Soccer. Ask Premier League fans, what channel is your favorite team on this week? It happens all the time with those.
Right. Yeah. So it'll be interesting to see where that all plays out. It's going to be boatloads of cash from Netflix. By the way, see, Tom Brady is already saying he regretted his roast.
Yep. Wow. So why'd you do it?
Right.
Would you
what
do
did
a
you
roast?
expect? Yes, you can have, like, hey, kids are off limits and all that, but at the same time, you're not off limits. And he said, his quote was from a podcast that, he wasn't aware of, like, how the jokes on him would affect his kids and that. I'm like, you kind of had to have an idea, right? I mean, come on, you've seen these before. They're going to go after you.
Right. Would you do a roast? Would you be
No.
the subject of a roast?
No. Nope.
You can't do it?
Nope. Now, I would love to do one on somebody.
Well,
but
of course.
you gotta play both sides. So, no,
Right.
I would not.
See, honestly, this is going to sound maybe masochistic. I'd do it. I'd be fascinated to see what. And look, there would be some. I'd be like, how dare you? Honestly, I'd be a little more concerned, kind of what he's saying, about like what other people would think. Like, what would my mom think? What would my wife think? Like, are they going to hear something like, "Hey," and like, "Oh, sorry."
See, that doesn't bother me, like, because I know they're gonna have my back or whatever.
Well, they
but
would.
it's
I think
just-
it's more like, would they get upset, and then I got to tell them, like, look, it's a roast. Come on, this is what happens. Don't get too upset about this.
no. Yeah,
But that's the thing with Brady. Come on, you knew this was going to happen.
it's a money grab from Brady. That's what it was. It's what it is. The narrative out there too. I think this was from Pro Football Talk about is it kind of almost an arms race between him and Peyton to see who can be the a controlling owner in the NFL first. Mm-hmm. Cash money wise.
Right. How interested, are you going to watch, presuming the schedule doesn't have the Packers on at the same time, and they won't, but are you, well, no, they can't because of Brazil. Are you going to watch Cowboys at Browns, Brady game number 1?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so too. Mm-hmm. I mean, at least I'm going to watch part of it.
I was going to say I might not be the whole thing, but it's that curiosity factor of like, okay, is this actually going to sound okay? Sound good? Because I just saw this morning too that it's like official, like Greg Olson's getting demoted to the 2 team, to the 2 squad for Fox, which I think is ridiculous, but he deserves a number 1 booth somewhere.
They're all. I mean, to be honest, there's part of me that actually wants to wait like a couple weeks because there could. I'm very fascinated, but I also want to like let him get a bit of a rhythm and then assess. That's probably the more fair
That's not the
approach.
society we live in, though,
I
Luke.
know,
We got to see it right away.
Right, and they're going to be. Oh my gosh, Twitter's takes after 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Wow.
Maybe that's why he did the roast, so he gets used to it.
Maybe. I mean, because he's going to get plenty. Mm-hmm. And like, even if he's okay, he's going to get plenty.
Yeah.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, I'll be honest, I haven't even watched it yet.
No.
I think I've seen enough clips and I've heard enough about it. I don't need to watch it.
Neither do I. I got the gist of it, and I'm good. Mm-hmm. Plus, I've always been ambivalent on Brady stuff. Maybe I'm getting a little more anti now just because of hype. But like I've said all along, like I've never been a Brady hater. I've never been a Patriots hater. Like, okay, so he's a really good, very, very good all-time quarterback. I don't hate him. Mm-hmm. I'm also not a fan. I'm just like, okay, he is what he is, and he's really, really good at being a good quarterback. Let's see if he can do other stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Okay.
So, all right, that's your Business of Sports brought to you by Security Financial Bank.